welcome to what is our final workshop for this 4-week series that we've been doing since June. Today our topic is entrepreneur finances. My name is Shamika Byfield and I'm the Managing Director for Shy Figures. Shy Figures is a Croydon-based organisation and we focus on supporting entrepreneurs, hence me hosting this workshop today. I'd like to start by just running through the agenda with what we'll go through today. And here we go. So I'll start with giving you 6 tips on managing your entrepreneur finances because it is separate from your personal finances. We'll take a short break and we'll do questions and answers. So please do use the chat function as you wish, put your questions in, and then Andrew will ask me the questions in between. And then I'll follow through with another 6 more tips for managing your entrepreneur finances. They're all different. And I'd implore for you to ask me questions. If I don't go into much detail, do put it in the chat as well. And then we'll finish up with another set of questions and answers. So like I said, I'm Shamika and I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, but I call myself an accidental entrepreneur, which means that I didn't set out to run businesses or start businesses and take risks. I would much rather be in a 9-to-5 with my 5 weeks holiday, paid, and I don't have anything to worry about. But here I am, an entrepreneur. I've got various businesses and yeah, they do take a lot of my time and a lot of effort to run. And I find that if I don't sort out the finance aspect of it, they will all fail. So I believe that these tips that I will be sharing will be valuable to you. And some of them I missed in the beginning and I had no one to share them with me. So I've learned along the way. So luckily I'm here sharing them with you, whether you're at the start of your journey or in the middle, or you've established yourself. I'm sure there are some things that you may have missed as well. So my first one is just to define what is an entrepreneur, because, you know, some people may think they are and they're not. Some people may think that they're not and they really are because they are taking risks. So for me, a person who sets up a business or businesses taking on the financial risk in the hope of making profit is what I would define as an entrepreneur. Now, I've highlighted financial risk because that's inevitably what you are doing with the hope of actually becoming a millionaire by the time you are to retire, or even retire at 50. For me, I want to retire at 50. So I've got just under 20 years left to make it there. And not just to make a profit, but we also have social entrepreneurs as well. And the social entrepreneurs, their aim is not to make a profit, but they've set up establishments and enterprises with the aim of solving social problems or effecting social change. So it isn't always just about retiring at 50 or becoming a multi-millionaire. You might just want to do something different for your community. In whatever aspect you've decided to embark on your entrepreneurial journey, the rules are still the same. There are still certain things that you've got to pay attention to, and if you don't, you will fail miserably. So my first tip 1, is to diversify. So you may have had a 9-to-5 and you decided, oh, actually, I am just going to jump and see if my wings open up as, what's his name? Who said it? He slipped my mind now. Yeah, if you've decided to take the jump and get onto your entrepreneurial journey and start to do your own thing, then it's important for you to diversify your income. If you don't diversify your income, you're relying on one source of income and that could cause major problem. If you diversify, for me, the definition of diversification is to enlarge or vary the range of products or the field of operation that you run your business in. For me, this happened without me even understanding or choosing to diversify. But as I went along, I realized that I needed to tap into different areas. I didn't choose to do workshops. And again, it's opportunities that come, and I diversified my expertise and my income to do other things. So if you've got a certain skill set that can be applied in other areas of business, it's wise for you to tap into those as well and not just focus on what it is that you set out to do. So if you decided you wanted to do a clothing line, but you are very creative, there might be other streams of income that you can tap into to use your creativity that could actually generate money. Because as you know, as an entrepreneur, your income is going to be irregular. So this month you might make a lot of money and next month you may not. It's about forecasting and taking those opportunities that still keeps you in line with what you want to do, but it allows you to generate more income as well. It allows you to multiply those income streams. We all know, you probably hear it all the time, multiple income revenue streams are important. It definitely is as an entrepreneur. And you'll find that you'll tap into things that you didn't even realize that you had. And people will tell you how great you are at it. And it might even change the direction of your journey to some extent, but it's important for you to diversify. So please do start thinking about how you could use your skill set or learn additional skills that will enable you to take advantage of opportunities that comes along on your journey. Doesn't have to be a lonesome journey. There's other people here that's doing probably the same thing as you. Tap into them, grow your network, and try to diversify how you bring that money in. My second tip is contingency planning. Most of us don't think about the tomorrow or what happens if I don't make any money next month. You may have a floor limit that you can hit before you actually start worrying about it, but it is essential that you have at least 3 months of contingency funds set aside when you are on an entrepreneurial journey, because without that, you will fall flat on your face and actually think, let me just go back and get another job. You might be very employable. Like myself, I could go back and work where I used to work. I could go back to the bank. I could go work in the city. But once you get onto that journey and you get that freedom that entrepreneurship gives you, you never want to go back. So for your own peace of mind, don't ever look at going backwards as a step to go forward all the time. It might work in some instances, but if you've got contingency plans or contingency funds, and even that going back into employment is a contingency plan, you must have those set aside, whatever it is. You must be able to cover your own essential expenditures at all times throughout the year. You must be able to forecast for your tax bills or just have money set aside. You should never be living hand to mouth as an entrepreneur. The risks are too great. So again, contingency planning is tip number 2. Tip number 3, this is kind of the hard one, especially in the beginning months, keeping your expenses below your income. The only way for you to do this is to budget effectively and efficiently as well. There's a law called Parkinson's Law by Cyril Northcote Parkinson. And this comes from the idea that the adage that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. It works with finances as well. The more you make, the more you increase your finances, because you have the belief that you actually continue to make more. Now, what if you don't? As an entrepreneur, you have irregular income. So you've made £4,000 this month, and you think, actually, let me just go get a new car. It might not continue in the same way. There are external factors or even internal factors that can actually affect your income. So keeping your expenses way below your income and living at the level of the means that you can whilst you're in your entrepreneurial stage until you get established, and mitigating those risks, it's essential that you do keep your expenses below your income, okay? If you think about it, a couple of months after someone gets a pay rise, they will find themselves back feeling tight financially. And that's because they've probably increased their income, their expenses. So getting a mobile phone, like now I want a new mobile phone. I've only got one for work and for personal. And I keep saying, I need an iPhone now. I want my iPhone back. And when I look at the monthly bill for an iPhone, it's like £70 for that new iPhone 11 plus. And I can't bring myself to actually take out another contract that's for 2 years, even though I could probably afford it. But I'm still within that zone where I know that I need to keep my expenses as they are, even though my income is increasing, because of the unforeseen circumstances. It might be that December, I might not earn as much as I'm earning now because of COVID. Things have changed, and I've had loads of workshops and loads of work come in, and I've managed to reduce my overheads in terms of having the office and staff and everything else. But I can't get excited by that. I've got to then think of going forward. So it's the same with you as an entrepreneur. You might see money coming in now, but if you don't anticipate what might happen next year and mitigate your risk, and you've increased your expenses, you'll find yourself unstuck. Okay, so again, personal budgeting is important. We mentioned the personal survival budget at the start of this call. That is what you definitely need to do. There's another slide on that, so I'll go through to it. So again, yeah, tip number 3 is keep your expenses below your income, way below your income. Tip number 4 from me is to separate your incomes, your different incomes, your revenue streams. You've got 3 types of income. You've got your personal money that's come in, and you've got your business income as an entrepreneur. So perhaps you need to pay your bills from the money that you get from your entrepreneurial activities. How much do you pay yourself? How do you know what is business from what is not business, your personal expenses? If you are a sole trader, it makes it extremely difficult if you're using one bank account, because everything just gets modeled into one. When it's time to do your tax return, you've got 500 pages of bank statements to pass to your accountant or for yourself to go through, and you've lost track of everything. It's important that you have separate bank accounts, one where your self-employed income comes into, and one that you use for your personal expenses. And this is where the personal survival budget comes in. So from your bank account that is for your income, you need to then be able to pay yourself, decide on how much money you need each month from those activities to make yourself tick over. So if you have a personal survival budget, it makes it easier because you'll know what your expenses are and how much money you need to cover it. So in the event that your expenses total £800 a month, just the figure I've plucked out the air, £800 a month, you know that you need to at least be making £800 as an entrepreneur to cover yourself. If you've got dependents, you've got to also calculate that. So when your income comes in, like I said, if this month you've made £3,000 and you know that you only need £800 to live on, you pay yourself. So you enable that whole discipline within you and the way how you work, because it might just be you yourself that's working now, but what happens when you get a team and your business starts to grow? You need to maintain that same discipline. So how much do you need? If you don't do your own personal survival budget, again, you'll find yourself in a muddle. If you have a limited company, separating your income is essential. It's a must, because the company then becomes a person itself. So any money that the company makes, it's not yours until you pay yourself. How you pay yourself is up to you. What you pay yourself is up to you, but it really depends on your personal survival budget and how much you will need to be making. Having done a personal survival budget as well, it will encourage you to diversify your income, to actually be able to multiply your revenue streams so that you can meet that target. It might be that one piece of work is only for £200 and you're only doing one of that for the month. Where are you going to get the rest of the money? How are you going to fill the gap in the shortfall? Having a personal survival budget again and again and again. From week 1, I've been saying the same thing. It's important, even when you are in business. Once you do have separate income streams and you've separated them and you've allocated the expenses and you're able to just have a clear financial picture of your finances, you can start setting your own financial targets. So if it's £800 you need, you might start thinking, actually, I don't want to be making £800. I don't want to settle for £800. I want to be actually making £3,000 because I've got things I want to save for a mortgage. I want to get a new car. I actually want to get that iPhone 11 plus, or whatever stage Apple is at the moment. I'm not even sure. I've got a Sony. I don't like it very much. But I'm setting myself targets so that I know that if I've got at least a year's worth of mobile phone bill payments sitting in contingency, I will actually get that iPhone because I've been spending time with my finances and because I know that I need to keep my expenses low. Unless it makes sense to me and I'm able to facilitate it, I'm not doing it. So yeah, separate your income, have your separate bank accounts, have your separate spreadsheets. If it is a limited company that you are trading through, you definitely need to have a separate bank account for that. And with a limited company, there are extensive financial administrative burdens that you will have to bear as well. Because although as a sole trader and an entrepreneur, you should be keeping your receipts and keeping track of your income, with a limited company, it's imperative that you do. It's a legal obligation for you to keep receipts and invoices and follow the rules set by HMRC and Companies House. Okay. Tip number 5 is to plan for the future. Now, we all don't think that we need to plan for retirement because we are going to retire at 50 and we don't need to worry about it. So it's okay if we just spend what we have now in the hopes of actually making enough money to be able to live off it and enough investments by the time we're 50 or 60 years old. It doesn't always work like that. So we must start planning, start saving, thinking about your pension. Everyone is entitled to a state pension as long as they pay in national insurance contributions. As a self-employed individual, you know that you pay your taxes at the end of the year when it's due after a year. If you don't make enough profit, you don't pay any national insurance, which means that you will end up, if you're doing this for 3 years, 3 years of you not making any profit, not being in employment where they're deducting your national insurance if you've hit the threshold, and then you haven't contributed to your state pension. Even if when you get to 65, it's only £400 a month for the 40 years that you've been working, it is still £400, not 40. It is still essential and it's still something more than you not being able to get anything from the state pension. And this is why you might hear people say that working in the public sector is for governmental organizations are the best for when you retire, but it's not for everyone. So if we're entrepreneurs, we've got to understand how going on that journey is going to affect us when we get to retirement age. Now, if your profits are below 6,475, you don't have to pay any national insurance contribution, but you can voluntarily pay Class 2 national insurance, and that's about £156 for the year. Or you can choose to pay more, okay? You can also think about paying into a private pension. There are private pensions around. It could be that same £3 a week that you would have paid for national insurance, or you could actually pay £10 a week, £5 a week. But do think about that you're not paying, given that you're not in employment, okay? And consider your long-term investments that can serve as income for your retirement. So you might spend a good 2 years just making money and not doing anything or not even thinking about retirement. And then you've made enough money to invest in a buy-to-let property. And then you get onto the property ladder and you start buying more houses or whatever it is, investing in things overseas that can serve as an income for you. That should definitely be in your goals and your vision, planning for the future. See how much money you're going to make, and when you do make this money, how are you going to ensure that this money continues to make more money for you later on? Tip number 6 is to automate your bill payments. Now, I don't have time to be checking when bills need to be paid. I'm busy running businesses. I'm busy answering the phone, running workshops, up and down. I also have children. I will probably miss my credit card payments or stuff. I'll just miss a lot of things. So what do? I put them all on direct debits or standing orders. I set alerts on my bank account, on my credit card, apps. I've downloaded all the apps so that they send me reminders of when things need to get done. You need to also implement this in your day-to-day life, because this will allow you to avoid those leaking fees that you get for £12 late payment. That annoys me, especially when you do have the funds to pay and you've just missed it and incurred £12 for no reason, that's a lot of money when you're on an entrepreneurial journey. Nobody wants to be wasting £12. So if you then automate all of your payments, set them up where you know that when you are definitely going to get funds in, all of your bills automatically just go out. So it gives you that peace of mind that you don't have any problems in terms of late payments or missed payments. Thinking about your credit file as well, that's majorly important. Yeah, so I'll pause for a bit, as promised, and then we can go on to questions and answers. Andrew, do we have any?
All right, let me take a look.
Only one in the chat.
Only one? No, only one. I think they're listening to you. Any question and answers, guys? Any questions, I should say. Question. Any questions so far? No? All right. Shamika, continue.
Okay. All right. Tip number 7. I'm just closing the chat. Tip number 7. Something that most of us don't think about. To be honest, I didn't think about it in the early days either. But like I said, I'm here to share my experience and the things that I didn't do so well. And that would be protecting my assets. When you are running your business, you don't have protection if you're a sole trader in terms of the limited liability that comes with running your business through a limited company. Now, I'm not saying that you should all go out there and open a limited company just in case you get any lawsuits or anything goes wrong, because a lot of limited companies that are out there, they still also don't have insurance. So if you are embarking on your journey or you already are, you must get public liability insurance. The amount of construction workers that I meet that don't have public liability insurance is astounding, because if they have an accident, remember that they're doing trades. If they have an accident, they have no way to claim. But again, they all think, no, nothing's going to happen to me. I'm fine. I don't need to think about that. Stop thinking that it won't happen to you. Make sure that you have adequate insurance to cover the work that you do and anything that needs to cover you professionally as well, for professional negligence or anything. Remember, you are the asset, you are the entrepreneur. And the second insurance that's really important is the income protection. As you can see, COVID-19 hit, and HMRC that served as most people's income protection for at least the 3 months that the whole country was on lockdown for. But if you did have self-employed income protection and you've got a loss of income because of force de majeure, is that what it's called? Yeah. Or anything that you're not able to work, illness or an accident, you're unable to work, a lot of these income protection insurances will cover you. So your monthly income provided is selected at the outset, so you can choose whether or not you want to cover 50% of what your income would be, or 70% from when you were working. And those levels will vary between insurance companies. But I'd say definitely use the comparison websites and look, it's not that expensive. You can get income protection insurance from £3 a week. Okay, so don't think of insurance as that unnecessary bill that you will pay and something might not happen and you would have just wasted all that money. Think about it as, what if something does happen? Then you know that you're covered. Another way to have peace of mind. Life insurance, that's kind of big at the moment, and people don't particularly believe in paying life insurance, again, for the same reason of...
This goddamn toy one more time, I don't know wait there.
The life insurance, as to why am I paying life insurance when, I might not die? But again, it's not just about dying. You have life insurance. If you have dependents, it's definitely a must. Again, remember, you're the entrepreneur. You've probably used all of your life savings to start this journey. And then if something does happen to you, God forbid, you do have life insurance to cover your family. So yeah, do protect yourself and protect your assets as well. Tip number 8 would be, it's my favorite one, take your business on a money date. get yourself away from the day-to-day task of what it is that you are usually doing, whether that is running an entertainment business or dealing with clients, and just spend some time with your money. I'd say do this in your personal life as well, in terms of your personal budgeting. Take some time to do your personal budgeting. Take some time to look over your business finance, your self-employed income, review your bank accounts. It might not even be that your bank accounts are right for you. Draft up your reports on how much you actually have coming in or came in for the last 6 months compared to 6 months of the year before. Do your analysis. Okay, you can spend this time updating your financial goals or even creating new ones, but do allocate some time, even once a month, just like you should allocate time for reading, allocate some time for your business finances. Okay, take the time out of your day-to-day tasks to do that. If you need help with that, you can always call me. I get clients up to me and say, Sham, I need help with these figures. I'm actually seeing one tomorrow. She just needs help with her figures and understanding, because not everyone likes the numbers game, okay? But if you don't understand it, you will never understand it if you don't spend the time doing it. And it's important. Tip number 9 is to forecast your cash flow. Please pardon the spelling error on that, but forecasting your cash flow. Again, it's one of the bugbears for me because, you know, I get clients who do pay. I do a piece of work and they pay immediately. And then you have the ones that you need to chase. In addition to doing the work, you don't want to have to chase someone for what is due to you. But in the real world, it does happen. Now, if you're not forecasting and all of your expenses are too high or they're too close together and you don't have any contingency funds, then it makes life a lot harder as an entrepreneur, because straight away you're living from paycheck to paycheck or work to work, and you don't want that. You've got bills coming out on the 10th, then bills coming out on the 19th. It's too hectic. So you must be able to anticipate late or non-payment of invoices when you're forecasting, not just, yep, I'm going to be getting in £3,000 this month. What if half of that doesn't come in when you expect it to? What is your contingency plan? This is where good credit comes in. Having a line of credit from your bank, having overdrafts or credit cards, not for you to spend frivolously, but to be there as a backup whilst you're on this journey. Soon as you get that money in, you can then cover the overdraft or the credit card that you used. It's imperative that you do forecast for your cash flow to make sure it's as smooth as it needs to be. Tip number 10, run a lean management style in the company. Make sure that the business is run as cost effectively as it can. Now, there's a myth around this where, oh, if we just spend all the money that comes in, we will never pay taxes. And that's probably true, but it must be spent on business expenditure, yeah, not on your own personal expenses. It must be spent wisely through business for it to be effective in terms of reducing your tax bill. But you must also think about the fact that this does not facilitate growth. So I'll give you an example. I had a new client a few years ago, about 3 years ago, and when I engaged with them for the first time, their aim was to not pay any taxes. Well, we don't want to pay any taxes. No, all the money has to go. We must spend it. We must spend it. And then I had a consultation with them about their vision and their goals. And their vision was to get to 500,000 so that they could be getting contracts in and start making more money from getting, you know, the direct contract and not having to be a subcontractor anymore. And I said, but if you are not paying any taxes and your company turnover isn't increasing and your retained profit isn't increasing, how do you expect to meet that goal? And it was like a light bulb moment for them. So although for them it was to avoid the tax, now it was more important for them to actually show that they're running at such a pace and running the business so well that larger companies will want to engage with them. It's the same for you. If your tax return is showing £2,000 for the year as an entrepreneur, you can't say that you're successful. First of all, you can't get a mortgage if that's what your aim is. You can't achieve certain things in business. Remember that when you tell someone that you're running a business, the first thing they'll probably do, any legit business person, they will go to check what your last company accounts were. And they'll ask you, as a social entrepreneur as well, if you want funding, the funders will want to see how you've been running the business. So if you're then dwindling it all out in expenses, it's a negative for you. So it's more about being effective and efficient with your management style. Retained profit, like I said, is essential when looking for funding or investment. So just think about how, if you're using a credit card to cover expenses and you're like, no, just put it on the business credit card. Just remember that business credit card still needs to be paid back from business funds. So is that expense essential, or are you just spending it because you can? Cost effective is the way forward. It's key. Business planning. Now, tip number 11. I'm not saying that you should sit down and write a 500-page business plan, 5,000 words like you're at university, but you must be able to plan. Having a great idea is not enough. You might have a brilliant idea. You might think that no one else has had this idea. You're probably wrong, because, you know, most of the ideas that are out there, someone else has had it, but they may not have been able to execute it as well as you will be able to execute it. And that's based on your own skill set and your abilities as well. In order to be a success as an entrepreneur, you must do the numbers. Creative entrepreneurs don't like numbers. They're not interested. If you don't like it, you need to outsource it, but it has to be done. A cash flow forecast is essential. Not just managing the cash flow and making sure that there is enough working capital for what you need to cover, but actually forecasting, if I want to do this, how much money do I need? And I would say, what do you include in your budget or your forecast? One thing that I excluded, which I didn't have the money for when I first started, was marketing. But again, how are you going to attract customers if you're not doing marketing? If you're not marketing yourself, if you're not branding yourself, if you're not taking advantage of what is out there for people, to allow people to see you and make yourself visible, but you don't have a budget for it, you must have a budget for marketing. You must be able to spend money on that branding. That's essential. Your logo, your brand name, your Instagram page, your Facebook, everything. Not saying that you should spend a whole lot, but you must also allow a small budget for marketing in everything that you do. Now, I'd say when you do have this great idea and you are doing your business planning, it will allow you to think about, what skill sets do you have? What skill sets do you need to develop? What skill sets do you need to pay for? What you can't do yourself, you can outsource. How much benefit is it for you to outsource it? I outsource marketing because I don't like it. Yeah, I had to learn it in the beginning because finances were tight. But again, that was me for number 2. What skills did you need to develop? I had to create my website myself. I had to do my logo myself. But the minute I got enough funds in contingency funds, I actually paid for that to be redone. That was within probably about 12 months. I actually got my website redone professionally because I knew how that affected my branding and my image. First thing someone does is jump on your website once you say you have a business. They go to look at your Instagram page to know, okay, so what is she about? So whatever is out there, the World Wide Web is important. In your business planning, that needs to be included, but you must also include how you plan to grow the company, what your vision is. Now, having the great idea is one thing, but what is the vision behind it? If you think about when you do get a team, how are you going to share the vision of the company with them? Because people management is one of the most difficult tasks in running a business. It's all right to have it all here on your own because it's just you. But if your vision is to be working with others, and not even to say that you'll be working with a team, but you will be collaborating, how will you share your vision with the team if you don't know what your vision is? So having that vision is also important. So business planning, sit down, again, take your business on a date for planning for the next year, the strategic development of your business. Doing that is important for your growth and your own development as well. And it will make things clearer. It might not be as clear in the beginning, but as you go along and you keep revisiting that vision, it will all become much clearer and start rolling off your tongue. You should be able to tell us what you do, or what your business is, what your business's aims are, in half a minute. There was a little task that they had. If you met Richard Branson in the elevator, would you be able to roll off your tongue what it is that you do? I could tell you 2 years ago I couldn't, but if you ask me now, I'm about it. Yeah. Tip number 12, and my final tip is, as an entrepreneur, you are an expert in your field, whatever it is that you're journeying on. But get advice. Get specialist, expert advice on your journey. Get a business advisor, one that specializes in what you do. Even if it's just about business in general, like the other 11 tips that I've given, get someone that can advise you on pricing structure, what to think about when you're pricing your product, what to look out for. They would have had experience in doing all of this, and they would have had pitfalls, they would have had successes and things that didn't work so great, and they can share that knowledge with you. It's much like getting a mentor. I'm not saying go out there and pay £1,000 a month for a mentor, but get someone that is actually wise in business and they've been on that journey and they can share. They say a wise person learns from the experience of others, and that's important. Yeah, don't be trying to make mistakes for yourself. We don't have time for it. We don't have time for failure and a plan B. And okay, if I fail, I'll just pick myself up and start again. You don't have time to start over. You know, life is way too short for that. If you're trading through a limited company, you must get an accountant. If you've registered a limited company, please do speak to an accountant. Please do speak to someone who understands the rules surrounding limited companies. Most accountants, they'll give you, well, some, like myself, I'll give you free advice. You can have a free consultation if you're thinking of going into business or you want to register a limited company. And I will tell you whether it makes sense to do so or not. Just don't go ahead and register one on the internet for £15 and not understanding what is required. Because what will happen, you start getting letters, you won't understand these letters, and you'll just put them to the side. And before you know it, you're getting fines and penalties that you don't want. It's the same as even if you're a sole trader, understanding what is required in terms of your tax return, how you do your record keeping and your bookkeeping. Speak to someone who knows. They will have industry knowledge, and they'll also have, knowledge of loopholes. I would always say, my lecturer told me this at uni a few years ago. He says, tax evasion is a crime. That's when you deliberately don't want to pay tax and you've just not done it knowing that you should. Like registering for VAT and then not paying over that 20% because you thought that 20% was yours. So you wanted to be VAT registered so you could charge an extra 20%. No, that's evasion. You can't have a £10,000 VAT bill and you haven't paid it. But if you learn how to avoid it, that is totally legal. How do you learn how to avoid it? Speaking to someone who knows. Okay, you must have an understanding of what is involved or have enough money to pay someone to use their experience. So for me, I would say educate yourself, spend time for your own personal development so that you have at least a brief understanding of what's required. So it's not all new to you when you're speaking to someone, because people can give you wrong advice. People can give you advice that is not suitable for you. Might not be wrong, but it's just not suited. If you know what you're looking for, then you can decipher whether it's right or wrong or unsuitable. Okay, so educate yourself, but do actually employ an accountant or a business advisor whilst you're on your journey, because they will have experience and knowledge to share that you probably won't have because you're just starting out. And that was my final tip. And we are at 7:45 or 7:46. I'd just like to say that you can get further support. We're offering free consultation. Well, I am. You can email me at shyfigures.co.uk, info@shyfigures.co.uk. My office is in Streatham, so I could arrange to meet up with you, or we could do a Zoom. But as part of these workshops, we're offering consultations to every and anyone that needs it. Please do follow us on social media as well, and add your social media into the chat. As you're an entrepreneur, you want followers, and we will help you with that bit of marketing in terms of growing your following as well. Questions and answers.
Thank you so much. Well done, well done. I've been taking some notes as well, and we've got some stuff in the chat room as well, Shamika. So let's go through that. But please, everyone, put your questions in the chat, and let me, if you can, take away the sharing.
Oh, 1 second.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, I've got you. All right. Are we ready for some questions now?
I am.
All right. So outsourcing, this is my kind of question. So outsourcing, tell us a little bit more about outsourcing, and you know, where can you go to get some outsourcing at cheaper prices?
It depends on what you need. So you might want to outsource your back office functions, such as your recruitment. You might want to outsource your bookkeeping, where you don't have to worry about how things are looking, and you can just, it's all automated. You might want to outsource your marketing, your social media management. It all depends on what business you're doing and what your skill set is. You might want to actually do all of your record keeping yourself in terms of allocating your expenses. We don't work with spreadsheets anymore. Everything is all software, accounting software. But we get a lot of clients who we put on the software, and they want to physically manage their own income and expenses. And you get ones that they're not interested. They just want to know that there's money there. We can do all the back office. In terms of marketing, you might want someone that's going to be managing your social media at the right cost. It's just looking at your own skill set and finding there are tons of other businesses. Vetting those businesses, making sure that they align with your vision, your goals, and they can suit your needs is essential as well. And that you can have a working relationship with them. Because the last thing you want is interruption in your day-to-day business activities.
Can I mention some websites as well? So there's 2 websites that I use when it's down to me outsourcing some stuff. So I use People Per Hour.
Yeah.
It's a massive website with people from all across the world.
Are you going to say Fiverr next?
I was going to say Fiverr or 5 Squids. So 5 Squids, it's the quality isn't as good as you can imagine. You're paying for only £5. But when I had to do one of my youth conferences and I needed about 15 different logos, 15 times 5 is much better than £50 a logo. So I just contracted it out to one person, and that person done all of my logos rather than individual ones of £50, etc. People Per Hour, as I said, a massive website, maybe the biggest one out there, and you can get people to do your website. You know, £100, £150, £1,000, letterheads, business heads, etc. We do want to try and keep it in Croydon and in the black pound, so to say, but actually sometimes it is much cheaper, especially if you're starting off, to actually go and to one of these websites and get somebody who can build up a good relationship with, and they normally sort you out with a good price. So that's peopleperhour.com. Here's another question for you, my dear. What about VAT as a business or limited company? What about VAT as a business or limited company?
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just, yeah. So with VAT, you don't have to register for VAT if you haven't hit the threshold of 85,000, but you can voluntarily register. Now, you registering for VAT, you will immediately you will decrease your competitiveness and increase your prices, because you will either add the 20% on. So if you're charging £5 an hour, you will need to charge £5 an hour plus VAT. If you are charging £5 an hour and then you haven't added on the VAT, but you are registered for VAT, you will lose 20% off your £5 each time. So you definitely will not be earning £5 an hour. Now, if you are in a business where you are trading with companies who are charging VAT, then they may require you to charge VAT as well, or be VAT registered, because they get to reclaim. So I would say if you can avoid VAT, it allows you to make that extra 20% and be able to keep your competitive edge in your industry. So again, it's 85,000. Unless you hit that, you don't want to. And just remember that 20% that you're charging your clients on those invoices, it isn't yours. You must pay that over to HMRC quarterly.
Yes, please. How soon after setting up your business on Companies House are you required to set up with HMRC?
Okay, so registering with HMRC is for corporation tax, and you don't have to do that unless you've started trading. So if you've registered the company, say you've registered in June and you haven't started trading, the company remains open. It's dormant until you then notify HMRC that you are trading, and then that brings you into corporation tax. With HMRC, you must notify them within 3 months of trading. So if you registered the company in June and you don't start trading until September, you actually have until September, October, November to notify them that you've been trading and giving them the trading date. Now, this is where most things, if you don't have an accountant, it will go crazy, because it just then means that your company incorporation date is different from your company trading date. So then your tax, the date that you need to pay taxes on any profit that you've made, is different from the date that you need to submit your company accounts to Companies House for. Limited company problems. So you must have an advisor once you do set up a limited company, and please do keep all of your paperwork that you get through the post for the company and as a director as well. So yeah, definitely 3 months.
Thank you so much. This one says they're sent by any specific tips for youths, aka Black Gen Z, just starting out, specific to them versus people who with more life experiences that have at least been in the work environment. So young people, we all know that a lot of young people want to start their business, etc. I guess it's a lot of what you've already said, but you know, anything specific for young people.
For young people, again, specific to them versus people with more life experience. Yeah, it's definitely getting a mentor as a young person starting out.
Thank you. Yep.
There are things that I thought I knew at 22 that now that it's 10 years on, I actually had no clue. So it shows that with time, you get wiser as well. So if a young person is starting out in business, no matter how much you read on the internet, there are things that will actually, they will go over your head. So getting a mentor, someone that's actually in the same business, the line of business that you're in, or even if they're not, if they've got experience in business, they can help you setting up with the foundation. It definitely is your journey, and you will learn a lot along the way on your own, but you need to actually lay the foundations right with when you're starting up.
And let me say one of my tips as well. So when I first started my business, which I was 23, which was a sandwich and a coffee shop in Loughborough Johnson train station. What I done, I spent £250 to spend a day with a CEO. If anybody knows the hot dogs, and they're called rollover, they're about a foot long. I found this particular guy, and I spent £250 with him for the whole day, and I literally asked him as many questions as possible. And so that $250 sounded a lot, but he saved me so much money by telling me, don't do this, don't do that, go here and go here. This is where you get the stock. This is where you buy the ice cream from at proper prices and not at the full prices. So yeah, it might sound a lot, but yeah, definitely, you know, try and seek out a mentor going forward.
Yeah,
okay,
there are mentors that you pay for, and you also have ones that they just want to give back. They just want to share their knowledge.
Yeah.
Again, networking and talking to people is essential.
All right, here's the next one. I am in employment and plan to start up my business in tandem. What are the tax implications?
Okay, so there are two things to think about here. What structure are you going for? Because as you are already in employment, if you are in full-time employment, it means that you're already paying taxes through your PAYE, which is your payslip. Now, if you have additional income as a sole trader, which will then require you to do a tax return, you might actually hit the 40% tax bracket in that sense. So it might be wise for you to trade through a limited company where it separates your income, your personal income, from the company's income. And then you have a lot more leeway with how you withdraw profit from the limited company in addition to your income from employment. So in this case, Miss P, you do need to speak to a tax advisor or accountant or a business, someone who knows about taxation and can help you to set it up in the right way that makes you more tax efficient.
Excellent. What is the minimum and maximum tax threshold you have to pay as a percentage of turnover for a new business? I think you touched on that one already.
Okay, no, so I did national insurance. Turnover isn't what you pay tax on. You pay tax on your profit. So if your turnover for the year is, let's say 100,000, wishful thinking, but that's what we aim for. Your turnover is 100,000, but your business expenses actually total £99,000. And your next question is, what are allowable business expenses? Your business turnover actually totals £99,000. It means that you've only made profit of 1,000. Now, at the moment, corporation tax rate is 19%. So you will pay tax on 19%. You'll pay 19% tax on that £1,000. That's how that works. So it's not based on your turnover, but more on your your net profit after expenses. So your turnover minus your expenses, leaving you with what is left over for taxation. In terms of allowable expenses differ based on the industry that you're in. But there are some generic ones, but it must be wholly and exclusively incurred for business. So if you're a creative and going to networking meetings and, you know, paying for website development, those are all allowable expenses. Whereas for an accountant, if I'm paying for 3 or 4 website developments and I've only got one website, whose websites am I paying for? So you must be able to justify what those expenses were for in terms of business use. And it's the same as a sole trader. Don't feel like buying yourself Nando's every day is a legitimate business expense, because it isn't. Feeding yourself is part of your personal expenditure. But if you're attending business meetings or business lunches and you incur cost for eating out or having a drink, it then becomes subsistence. So it then becomes a business expense. So it's really tailored to what your business is and how it can be justified.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Listen, quickly, how can people get hold of you as well, Shamika?
At Shy Figures, or my email is info@shyfigures.co.uk.
Excellent. All right, let's go for the next one. Any specific tips for tweens and teens? So many more of them becoming entrepreneurs now. What can it be set up in a child's name, and when does it become a business? It's lovely to see our Black kids learning about entrepreneurship, financial freedom, good money habits, etc. Yes, it is, and we need to do more. We can maybe do a workshop specifically aimed at teenagers as well, Shamika.
Yeah, we definitely could, because for them understanding how pricing works as well, because they're so young, and how is it that you're making sure that your costs are not higher than your income? You know, those things are important. Those things
Excellent.
are important.
Thank you. Somebody's asked for the personal budget, which I will send out tomorrow or Monday. Are these tips followed in any specific order when starting up a business?
No. So my tips were not in order. But the first one that I would always say is business planning. So that literally should come at the forefront of these tips. So planning your business and sitting down to an extent, as much as you can plan and think about, should be the first stage of you starting a business or even jumping onto the entrepreneurial journey. Just doing your business planning, and that will open up a whole sea of questions for you, and then that will allow you to then find the answers in different persons or different people in different places. So business planning would be my number one tip, my first step.
Excellent. And somebody's saying we should maybe do a webinar as well about starting a business for entrepreneurs after COVID. So yeah, I do like the sound of that, and we should be able to do that one maybe in the summer as well.
Yeah.
Miss P, the British Library does loads of startup business courses. They are free and really great. They also do many free online webinars. Check them out, the British Library. Thank you very much for that one.
Wait, Miss Yvonne, Miss Yvonne. So I also run for the British Library. They are in conjunction with Croydon Library as well. So Croydon Library, which is obviously in Croydon, if you tap into their website, they will show you all the business courses.
Yeah, I've actually been on 3 of their courses, and they are absolutely fantastic. And you get you're right, you get the option to choose which borough you want to go to, should there not be availability. So yeah, they are fantastic. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Sasha said, do you know of any good accountants, financial advisors? You're looking at one, Sasha. You're looking at one.
We've also got, Andrew, we've also got the new BME directory that's now
right.
out, that you can actually tap into for all the Black businesses in Croydon, whatever you want to outsource or whatever advice you're looking for. And they do have a financial section, and I am in it. So if you do want to find a good advisor, check us out. And
Shamika will be writing an article in the directory every month, I've heard as well.
I am the Croydon Martin Lewis.
Hey, well done, well done. Okay, excellent program of workshops over the last 4 weeks. Thank you so much. That's from E. Are you open to youths keen to get virtual work experience in accounting? Oh, good point, in accounting software. So would you take on a young person doing?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it's only because we closed. So we also engaged in apprenticeships as well. So we had a brilliant apprentice just about a year ago, and then she went on to work for Croydon Council in credit control. She's done a lot of the bookkeeping and everything. So we're always looking for young talent just to help them to grow their own skills and develop as well, because we've got a whole wide range of clients that need a whole different range of things. So whether it's marketing, accountancy, just want hands-on admin, we'll be setting up again back in September once we're back in the office to do all that.
Excellent. Okay, so we've still got 14 more questions, but at this time, what we're going to do, we're going to pause for 2 seconds and we're going to do a poll. So I've got a poll which I want to ask you guys some 4 questions. So I'm just going to press pause on the. All right.
Oh, no, that's it. Just Bolani sent me a.
Okay. So I wanted to do a poll. So unfortunately, it's not working for some reason. But can I ask you all in the group chat? Can you let me know if you've been to how many sessions of the finance workshops you've been to? So have you been to? We've only done 4. So have you been to 4, 3, 2, or 1 of the sessions? If you can put that into the group chat, please.
Oh, Ian played into all 4 of them.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Miss P, you only came to this one.
Well, no one. That's why she's up.
Yeah, she's throwing in all the questions in here. I like it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, everyone. If you can continue to do it. So out of 10, how much would you rate the workshops, the whole series, out of 10?
Go Sabash. Thank you, E. Thank you, Balani.
So you're not meant to be seeing all of these, so that's why.
I think it'd be biting my eyelids, yeah? Galaxy, okay. There's always room for improvement, guys. Don't just do 10, because we're always looking to improve going forward and taking on.
Excellent.
Great suggestions.
And okay. Yeah. Okay, excellent. So I had 4 questions, second. Go for it.
All right, so top 5 tips from me, just to wrap it up, would definitely be number 1, spend time doing your business planning. And 2, once you've done your business planning, look for a mentor or a business advisor that you can get shared knowledge or shared thinking, shared experiences from whilst you build on your idea, because no idea is new. And there's always room for improvement once you do have an idea. It might be great, but you can develop it further. And with time, you will do that. Number 3 is to make sure that you have an accountant on board if you're going through a limited company, or you seek tax advice before you actually jump into it. So there might be different taxation implications for you if you're employed and then you go into self-employment. You might want to understand that before you actually venture out. Number 4 would be to make sure that your back office is set up correctly. So stuff like, how will you invoice your customers? How will you make sure that you get payments in? How will you keep a record of it? Those are essential. And my fifth tip is to ensure that your finances are in check. So not just the back office, but more particularly your finances. That is your personal finances and your business finances, and that there are contingency plans in place in case we're not trying to do this, but in the event that you do fail, you have contingency plans. You've got a plan B. 5 tips for you.
Excellent. And I think when I sit down with people who I mentor and who wants to start businesses, I think my number 1 tip is to sort out your finances as well. Make sure you get a good accountant that you know, can tell you right from wrong. Make sure that